To our channel. Today we're diving into a compelling debate on the complexities of Islam and its reception in the modern world. Grab your coffee and let's hear from the experts.
Hey guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be diving into Douglas Murray leaves Islamists speechless with harsh truths about Islam. Stick around to the end of the video. Let's dive into it together. Let's go.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a compelling debate on the complexities of Islam and its reception in the modern world. Grab your coffee and let's hear from the experts.
Used responsibly, and it needs to be used in a measured sense.
I mean, Douglas Murray, what's interesting is, it sense that perhaps in the West we've lost any understanding of the depth of offence that things like this cause to Muslims, and is that a problem of our own making?
I think that's true in a way. Just quickly, I mean, the thing of saying Muslims, of course, in this is that in most countries, there's a very small minority of people. I mean, and also we should bear in mind that a lot of political people are using this for their benefit. In Australia, the riots would seem to be led by, organisations like Hizb ut-Tahrir. In Britain, the very small number of protesters who came out seem to have been affiliated with groups like the now banned Al-Mujahirun and so on. So let's not think this is, as it were, Muslims as a bloc taking offence. But there is a correct perception, I think, that Islam as a religion is more brittle and feels these things more woundedly than other religions, and there is a reason for that. I mean, in a couple of weeks' time in London, the musical by the creators of South Park, Mormonism the Musical, will begin. It's been going on Broadway for some years, packed out crowds, including Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, who said she was so offended by this film on the internet. So one of the things about this is that most religions by now have realised that being satirized, being critiqued, being even ridiculed and criticized, let's face it, just criticized or looked at in a historical manner, as happened a few weeks ago with a film by Tom Holland on Channel 4. Even these things are felt very woundedly, and that's because all other religions, apart from Islam, have been through this period of criticism and have, as it were, come out to some extent, not completely at the other end. Islam has not been used to this process historically. It is not used to the idea that your deepest feelings can be trodden upon, and that is a right that people who do not share your faith
Douglas,
have.
what on earth are you talking about? Because how can Islam, which is a faith, it's a religion, it's an ideology, it's a way of life, you cannot talk about Islam in these broad, sweeping generalisations.
Well, you talked about Muslims
Islam doesn't feel things. Individual Muslims do, people who are mothers and fathers.
Can I get Ajmal?
If I could just
go ahead, Douglas,
very quickly respond to that, because it is a very important point. There are lots of different strands of Islam, but in every Islamic society and in the world today and historically.
Do you mean Muslim majority countries?
No. Islamic societies that have Islam within the rule of law, countries like Pakistan where Islam is a very important part of the constitution and of the governance of the country. These places all put a particular emphasis on the fact that the ridiculing of the Prophet Muhammad or all sorts of claims about him, asking whether he existed and so on, is blasphemy, and that blasphemy should be punished.
I mean, Ajmal, it is an issue about those countries.
Douglas Murray discusses the different reactions to religious satire, emphasizing that Islam's sensitivity is partly due to its historical lack of exposure to critique. Is this why Islamic societies react more strongly to offence?
Isn't it? And it's all very well for you in the West to say, look, you can rise above it. But in Pakistan, in Yemen, in these places where there's been violence, they can't, can they?
I've got simply 3 points to make on this particular discussion. I think there's one correction for Douglas's information. Islam has been through 1400 years of critique, discussions and debates, internally and externally. And it has gone through it without a problem, and it will go through it without any issue. I have no issue with that. I think there is an element of truth in what we are saying here to do with Muslims' disproportionate response. The reasons these responses are particularly prominent in countries like Pakistan, Yemen, in Bangladesh, has more to do with politics than religion. Let me give you an example.
Very briefly.
Most of these countries are ruled by dictators and despots. Illegitimate governments, corruption is rampant, poverty is acute. No opportunities for people to make a better future for themselves tomorrow. And don't forget, the drones attack that has dominated Yemen and Pakistan has also exasperated frustration. So what we are now seeing is a political response using this as a pretext.
As an excuse.
But Prophet Muhammad, let me put it clearly, Prophet Muhammad doesn't need our defense.
Okay.
And God doesn't need our defense.
All right,
what we need to do is defend ourselves.
Absolutely. The second point you make, I think, is perfectly valid. The first, I think, is not. For this reason. You say that Islam has been through this process for 1400 years. A part of that is true. There has been debate within Islam, but on the fundamentals of Islam, about the nature of Muhammad, about whether or not he existed even, whether the Quran was created by him or was created by God, whether he invented it, these things actually Islamic societies tended to, and Muslims even today, feel very brittle about. The fact is, and all singing...
Do you want me to name you scholars?
Let Douglas just finish, please.
Yes, and I could name them back, and many have suffered for raising these questions when they have. The fact is that we can put it this way: an all-singing, all-dancing Mormon musical is a threat to nobody. Nobody thinks that Mormon mobs are going to go and kill anybody, or threaten to. But there is a risk, and it is a legitimate risk in the world today, that an all-singing, all-dancing Muhammad musical in the West End might not go off
Samira,
so
there is
well.
a very simple thing.
The debate shifts to the political dynamics in Muslim-majority countries, where Ajmal Mazrou argues that political issues, not religion, drive extreme responses. Could political instability be the real cause of these reactions?
Benjamin, thank you very much. And listen, I want to ask you something, Mohammed Ansar. We're in this position, and Douglas mentioned it, where a scholarly documentary about the origins of Islam, is the maker of that, Tom Holland, is an academic. He's getting death threats. I looked at some of the comments he was getting on Twitter, really aggressive, from people who actually in sometimes quite important positions in the Islamic community in Britain. It has gone too far, hasn't it?
I'm a friend of Tom's. I've been very outspoken in the media and with Tom. They do this history festival, which is like a Glastonbury for history
but
geeks.
answer the question.
But his book was an academic discussion about the origins of Islam. And although I didn't like the information in it, it was roundly set upon by Muslim and non-Muslim academics across the world.
Well, that's not entirely true. Do you accept the idea that death threats are completely wrong in this context?
Of course they are. Nobody sensible would condone that kind of behaviour. However, an academic discourse, as set out in Tom's book, was fine, as set out in his lectures are fine, but in the documentary, where he throws away any balance to the discussion and produces a very prejudicial and biased aspect.
In your opinion? I mean, the comments are quite aggressive.
Glenn Bowersock, who was the head of history and classics at Harvard for something like 20 years, he's came out very, very strongly, and he's not Muslim, and he said this is shocking revisionism.
But it's the tone of the discussion. Go ahead.
I think the point about Tom Holland, he has the right to say what he wants to say. That's not a problem. Death threat is absolutely abhorrent. It's not Islamic. It's not befitting to be a good Muslim to say something like that. Absolutely. Forget about all of that. That's very simple. It's a human judgment on this issue. But the issue is, did Tom Holland do a good job of an objective program? I believe he didn't, number one. Number two, is just like the cartoonists who did new cartoons in France. We know from good sources that that newspaper was, or that magazine was, financially struggling. Let's make a bit of money by putting up a cartoon that would sell a lot more.
Everyone's got an interest in stirring up trouble.
And this is the problem.
I want to give Douglas the last word on this.
It comes down to a very fundamental point. Most people in this country are not Muslim, most people in France are not Muslim, and so on. We don't believe that Muhammad, if he existed, heard any angels speaking. It's the opinion of those of us who are not Muslim that he obviously either made it up or something else. Now, we think the same thing about Mormonism. Atheists obviously will believe the same thing about Jesus and about Moses and so on. But nobody has a problem saying, I'll make a film about Moses where he's made up the Ten Commandments. It was done very well by Mel Brooks. But nobody has a problem now watching a film saying that Jesus made it up. But they do have a problem, and we have a problem of censorship and self-censorship, because people are afraid to say that Muhammad made it all up, and the response to that, they know, is that they will stop saying it, they will pretend and hope they won't get any trouble, because they will pretend that they are sort of believing Islam. They'll say the Prophet Muhammad. They will try not to cause any offence.
All right, well, we'll have to leave it there. No, we have run out of time on this. The only thing I would say is, we have run out of time, is it is interesting that we're 22, 23 years after the Satanic Verses affair, and here we are embroiled in this discussion with Fari as well.
We can't fight constantly.
But thank you all very much for your contributions.
The discussion concludes with the controversy over academic critiques of Islam, with Benjamin affirming the right to critique while condemning violent responses. How should we balance free speech and respect for religious beliefs? Thank you for watching. If you enjoy these highlights, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.
All right. The honest truth is this, right? From my own personal experience, I will tell you for a fact that yes, Muslims are easily offended. I don't really judge people. I don't really judge the whole of. I don't really judge a religion. Because like the way I live my life, I live my life where everybody has the freedom to do whatever they want to do. It's your choice, your life. You understand? But this argument reminded me of something that everyone in my country to today is not talking about, and everybody let it slide. And before I get into that, because I think that's a very sensitive conversation, but I'm gonna go into it because till today, like I said, nobody in my country talks about it. Everybody just sweeps it under the rug, and it's quite disheartening to know things like that happen. And the honest truth is that even me myself, I have even forgotten about it. If this argument did not come up today, I wouldn't even remember it. And I would say that it is quite disheartening. And I'm disappointed in myself that I did forget about something like this. Yes, that is the truth. Now, first of all, let's come down to something that he said. He said something. Douglas Murray said something during the end of the video. He was like, if you make a video about Christ now and doubt the origin of if whether Christ is God, or you make a video asking whether Christ made the Ten Commandments, or if Moses did this or Moses did that, nobody has an issue with that. Because in the Christian religion, we believe that we don't just follow blindly. You need to ask questions to get clarity. And in most cases, right? In most cases, I usually tell people that it is best that the Holy Spirit directs you than any human being, because a human being will always give you explanation based on their understanding of the Word of God. But if you do your own research, if you go in searching for Christ or God yourself, you will be able to have a deeper understanding. I'm not here preaching religion. I'm just giving you an example of what I talk to people that come to me and be like, oh, they really want to get to know Christ and all those things. I don't tell you to go and hear it from another person. I say, go find your own deeper understanding, have a connection, and have a relationship with God yourself, because there is no better teacher than that, than Him alone. Now, skipping to the next part, right? Now, when he made that statement, right, I realized that was when I said that this thing I'm about to talk about came to my memory, and I'm disappointed in myself that I forgot it. I think 2 years ago in my country, there was this school actually that I think they had a forum, like a school forum, maybe a class forum. I didn't really know. I can't remember the full detail of everything, but I think it's in a forum. And they were discussing in that student forum. They were discussing in that student forum, and all of a sudden, I think I didn't really like. I will see disclaimer here. I don't really know if the girl did any other thing aside from what I'm about to mention here right now. So I'm saying this for that case before some people will be like, I didn't know the full context of what she did. But according to the voice notes that was played and the evidence that was presented, that is what I'm going to be talking about. Now, according to them, the group is a student group, is a school group, you know, and then there were people that they were talking about religion. And then this girl made a reference that they should stop talking about religion in the group, and quotes, I think she actually insulted Mohammed. I'm not going to lie about that, but I felt she did, in her statement from the voice note I had. Was it voice note or text? Like I said, it's 2 years, I think 2 years ago, I've been 1 year and something. So I don't really remember every single detail, whether it was text or voice note. But I think she insulted Mohammed in a certain context, right? Now, this is where I said I get offended with, right? If that group was a normal group and somebody came there and insulted Christ, nothing would have happened. Do you get? Nothing would have happened. Now, I think a few days later, bunch of people came together, like they were angry that she insulted Muhammad and everything, and then I think they burned her. I don't know if YouTube will have copyright on this, what I'm about to say. I think they burned her. Do you get? Like, they're on a lifetime. Yeah, I think that's the word I should be using here. They're on a lifetime. And the funniest thing is this, till today, no one was arrested for that incident. No one was prosecuted for that incident. I didn't see it. I saw the news, but I never saw any prosecution. I never saw any arrest or things like that. So what am I trying to say is this. This is a very clear case that it is not tolerant. It is not, it is easily offended. Yes, it is easily offended. And it's not supposed to be so. It's not supposed to be so. I believe that God can fight for himself. Do you get? That God can fight for himself. And everybody is entitled to freedom of speech. I have seen so many Muslims talk bad about Christ. I'm not just saying this because I say I have Muslim friends and I love them so much, like with all my heart. But the more I listen to Douglas Murray, the more I feel like there is a lot I don't really know about this Islam. There is a lot I don't really know, and the fact that nobody is talking about it pisses me off. I'm sorry to say that. It pisses me off that nobody is talking about this, and everybody, every time everything happens in the guise of religion, we sweep it under the rug. It's not right. And he said also something, he said political, that sometimes that it is the political governments that are using this as a guise to actually do things. But sometimes it is not them. I'm not going to say that it is them, but I can be sure that at least 50% of it is not coming from them. It's coming from ordinary human beings like you and I, taking matters into our own hands when we should not. When we should not. If you feel like someone says something bad against you, they said it with mouth. They said it with mouth. In my last video, I said if you feel like somebody defamed you in any way, and I don't know whether there is a law that says you should not defame somebody's religion, take that person to court. And if there is no law that says you should take the person to court, you self talk your own. Say what you can say. You know, get back at the person with your own words and facts. There is no need for the senseless violence. There is no, I see absolutely no need for it. What do you gain at the end of the day? What do you gain? I was seeing that in that news I was telling you that happened in my country. I was seeing that they compensated again. I'm like, why are you somebody is gone, is gone. What are you compensating them for? Only because they exercise their freedom of speech. They exercise their freedom of speech. Honestly, I'm not happy with myself that I have not actually had the opportunity to talk about this in a very long time. And imagine, her memory has already faded. In so many people's mind, her memory has already faded. So please, I'm begging you all, let people express themselves without like what word would I use? Without agitation. And if you feel like I always say, someone says word, if you feel like the person you cannot see, they say silence is the best answer to a fool. Yes, you feel like that person is a fool, ignore the person. See, there are some people that will come on my comment section and be saying something. In some cases, I ignore them. Yes, there was a statement that came on my YouTube channel. I deleted that statement. I'm going to read that statement. I think I screenshotted it on my this thing. I'm going to read that statement. I didn't delete it because of anything. I deleted it because I was offended in the heat of the moment. But then I realized this guy has his freedom of speech. I should have just let him say whatever he wants to say. And I felt sorry for that. That's why I'm coming on this channel now to tell you guys that I deleted a comment. I think that's the first time I've ever deleted a comment on my YouTube channel. And it was a post I made about, I think, 9/11, that I was so emotional talking about what do you call it? Talking about the tragedy that happened on the 9/11. Then someone came and wrote on my comment section, and I won't lie, I got pissed off. I'm like, you feel like all this thing is just me coming on screen, recording myself and being emotional. You think it's just fake? It's fake. The guy was, I think the person was, I don't know whether it was a guy or a lady, or I don't really know. The person was like, that all this is just staged, that I'm just doing this for the views and the likes, and you know, I'm getting paid for people's tragedy. Like, do you read your comment before you actually type it? A tragedy, and you think that somebody else is there making money out of it because of money. I will come here and oh god. Like I said, I'm sorry I deleted that comment, but I was pissed off that day. I was so angry. I was like, what? What? Can you think like that? You know, I got offended, but did you see me attack the person? No. To do what? Oh, it's identity comments. Comments. Even the one you said to me pained me because you saw that tragedy. Forget about me on the screen. You saw that tragedy. You saw that tragedy There is nobody except you are a devil that will see that tragedy and not be moved by it. Except you have an evil mind, that is the only time you will see something like that and not be moved by it. So it goes to say that sometimes we get offended, but we should not act on that. Regardless, even though I acted on my own anger, but I didn't do extreme something. And you can see me coming here today to recognize my mistake. I recognize my mistake. I was not supposed to delete it. Do you get? Because you have freedom of expression, freedom of speech, the same way I do. I can express the way I feel and how I feel about something without the consequences of you coming after me. If it is so, then why are we fighting for freedom in every nation? Why are we fighting for it? We are better off as slaves then. If that is the case, we are better off as slaves. Thank you all for sticking around to this part of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this YouTube channel. Also, feel free to use our Buy Me Coffee link to make priority request of the next video like on our YouTube channel. See you guys on my next update. Sorry that I think I was hyped up. I'm sorry about that. So I'll see you guys on my next update. For now, remain blessed and bye.